Usual suspect.
Coach, how'd the scrimmage go tonight?
There was some good and some bad in the scrimmage, which you'd expect. I was pleased. We started with goal line, talk about a couple of the positive things. We started with some live goal line, and I thought they showed up ready to go. Defense held offense out on 3 straight plays from there in there tight, and you don't do that unless you're ready to play. I heard some pads pop in, so it was good to see that kind of fight from them and that willingness and readiness to go. Thought the kickers kicked well, which was good to see. I don't get to watch as much of that, and our 2 field goal kickers did a really good job. But beyond that, there's always positives and negatives to take, learning lessons from early scrimmages, and the guys were nice enough to provide us with a lot of things we can learn from. There were some really good things that happened and a lot that we need to improve.
Scott, going to quarterbacks, were they live? And what did you see from that group?
Yeah, I was live when I was a quarterback in college, and I don't know how much that happens anymore. It's just not worth it. So they did a good job today. It's still a competition. All 3 of them have done really good things and done some things that I think we can improve. Would love to start having that idea of who that's going to be gel in my mind, but we're not there yet, and we're not going to force that. So there'll be more opportunities to compete. Every play counts, and it was good to see Cam back out. Cam must be like a major league pitcher. He had a little bit of a lat strain just from throwing a little bit, so we held him out, but he was back in there. So all 3 got some good reps and did some good things tonight.
You said decide on that person. Are you open to more than one quarterback, multiple quarterback system as the season gets underway?
Yeah, I'm open to whatever gives us the best chance to win. So if that's one guy, we're going to ride. If we're not sure and more than one guy deserve an opportunity to play, then I guess we'll go that way. I've never really had that situation, but if that's where we are, then that's where we are. So whatever gives the team the best chance, we're going to do.
Coach, which player or position group stuck out the most to you in the scrimmage?
The first thing you worry about as a coach in a scrimmage like that is that you improve and get out of it healthy. I think we had a couple little minor things today, but nothing major, so that makes me happy. You worry about tackling well in the open field, because you can only do so much live tackling per rules, and if you're smart, not getting guys hurt. And I thought for the most part the tackling looked crisp and sharp. There were some broken tackles and good plays on offense, but I thought we tackled pretty well, and that gives me hope. I think the front 7 did a really good job with the ones, if I was going to point to a group. We were kind of behind the chains on offense quite a few drives because those guys were really stout in the run game and on drive starters. And we got some talent up there, so it's good to see them execute like that and play to their potential.
You talked about the scrimmage giving you something to learn from this. As far as just kind of globally, what is the goal of a scrimmage like this at this stage of camp, and then did you feel like you accomplished that goal?
Well, every practice matters, and this isn't more important than another practice, but when you're out under the lights and it's live, there's probably a little more priority put on the evaluation of that than just a normal practice. My message to the team afterwards, you can look really good on 5 or 6 plays out of an 8-play set in a normal practice, but that's different than game reps. And if your 5 out of 8 or 6 out of 8 are good, but your other 2 are catastrophic, then you're going to kill drives. And either way, defensively or offensively, it's going to ruin everything else you did. So we need to get more consistent with our speed and the precision of our execution. It's not unlike any team I've ever coached, but some of the lessons that we're trying to teach them, that they kind of listen but don't really apply it, and it costs you when it matters and when there's real referees out there and the clock's running. So hopefully we'll be able to get those messages across after this scrimmage.
Coach, you mentioned that the quarterbacks, you want them to make your job easier in terms of stepping up, and it's something that you'll notice, that the team will notice. I'm not going to ask you who stepped up, but is somebody stepping up? Would you say that there is somebody who's making progression towards that?
I'd say all 3, which is a cloudy answer, I understand, but I actually had a talk with Coach Grinch and some of the defensive guys today and asked them what they thought. And they're watching their guys. They're not really watching quarterbacks. But Coach Grinch's comment was, well, all three of them are a lot better than they were in spring. And I agree with that. Really, it probably is going to come down to who can make plays without turning the ball over and who can take care of the football for us. And they've all three had little hiccups with that, but for the most part done a good job.
I know Isaiah Reed's been banged up a little bit. Was he able to participate in the scrimmage? And maybe when's he going to be ready to go for you guys?
No, we got a few guys with some soft tissue injuries. Isaiah's missed some time. Caden Peening's missed some time. Kozlowski's missed some time. Also, Tavion got tweaked yesterday, and we're trying to evaluate that, and Swint trying to figure out the severity of that and what our next step is with him. So it's been a good camp. We've stayed mostly healthy, but we've had a few guys nicked up here and there.
How did you structure things with the quarterbacks? Was there one guy on the first team tonight? Did you mix it up, and what was the order?
No, they've been mixing it up, taking turns, even rotation, so they get some shots with the guys that are running with the first team, the guys that are running with second team, and that's not the only position battle. So there's good players on both teams for guys to work with, but it was an even rotation, has been all camp.
Scott, defensively, what did you see from that unit, especially on the front line? You know, you had a lot of veteran leadership up front.
Yeah, if those guys really fight, I think we can be pretty good up there. And my message to them has been, I think we're going to have some good pass rushers, but you earn your right to rush the passer by stopping the run on first and second down and getting them in throwing situations. They did a good job of that tonight. So hopefully we can build on that and improve on that. You know, there's a couple guys like Malachi and John Walker that I haven't seen do much yet because they were out for spring. Those guys are starting to show up. Braden Marshall is another guy I didn't see in spring. He's making some plays. So you got to get that whole group together and let them start coalescing a little bit as a defense and coming together and playing as a unit. And I saw some signs of that tonight.
What did you see from your defense in terms of creating turnovers tonight?
It was good. There was a lot of hands on the ball. You know, as a head coach, anytime the offense does something good, that's good and bad because you're worried about the defense. And when the defense does something good, it's good and bad because you're worried about the offense. There were some turnovers tonight, a couple good plays and a couple things that were probably the offense's fault. But there was a bunch of hands on balls, a bunch of disruption, getting quarterbacks out of rhythm, breaking up some passes. So guys are playing with good ball awareness, and you can't be ball disruptive unless you're ball aware.
Are you starting to see an identity formed in this defense?
We got a ways to go. One of my takes is we're not game ready right now. The guys are working hard. They're giving us effort. That effort has to be very calculated and precise in exactly what they're doing in order to have the detail that you need to win. It can't just be working to work. It has to be working on specific things and improving certain things. So I want them to come out of this scrimmage knowing that we're better, but we still have a long way to go before game one.
Coach, I know we talk about the quarterback battle a lot, but are there other position battles that became a bit more clearer for you guys after the scrimmage?
Yeah, I don't know about clear, but there are certainly some other position battles. I think safety is one. We got a lot of guys playing well there, and probably on the offensive line. Both of those are positives to me because I think we have more guys playing at a level that we think they could be starters than we expected at both of those positions. There's others where there's position battles going on, but I've been impressed with those two groups and the depth that we have in those positions.
You've seen some of the highlight interceptions that Antoine Jackson's made in the early portions of camp. How do you feel like he's maybe seizing the opportunity and coming back from the injury he was able to do?
Antoine's been a bright spot. He's another guy we didn't really see anything from in spring. He came out late in spring and did some indie. But he's stepped in and shown us the type of player that he could be. He's still kind of getting his feet under him, but he's definitely got hands. I don't think we're going to play anybody two ways, but he's got receiver-type hands for sure.
What would you say were the bright spots from the offense to scrimmage? What situations were they best in?
We hit a couple deep balls tonight, which, again, we got to look at the defense and see what happened with coverage. but it was good to see guys come down with some big plays down the field. That was probably a bright spot for the offense. We got to run the ball better than we did today. Good for the defense. We got to be better on offense, and you never want to be behind the chains, and we got behind the chains a lot on offense. So again, there's a lot to learn from.
A few more.
Scott, you guys are working with tempo, obviously, in practice. What did you think of the tempo tonight with the offense, and what were you happy with it? Do you want to see some improvement from that? What was the group looking like?
I don't know if we're going to be super fast tempo or not. It kind of depends on what the game dictates. But I want guys getting in and out of the huddle and doing it quickly. And we were a little lax with that. It led to a couple sloppy penalties that cost us. And we've talked to the guys about urgency of getting set, getting lined up, and those type of things. And didn't see enough of it tonight. So we got some film to prove to them that they need to be more attentive to that.
You mentioned the offense hit some deep balls. Who's emerging at wide receiver?
That's still a work in progress too, to me. We got a lot of guys doing some good things. We need some guys to really step up and be consistent, reliable playmakers there. There's guys with talent, hasn't been consistent enough yet, but every time they go out and make plays, it's good. DJ Black had a good night tonight. Marcus caught a couple balls. Caleb Rollerson made a really nice play for us. Speedy's really reliable, DT. And there's other guys, but feel like we got good depth and talent there. It's just got to be more consistent, and the quarterback's got to know where they're going to be and when they're going to be there, and trust them to be there.
Coach, I don't know if you have benchmarks, but if you do, are you where you thought you'd be at this point?
I don't know. I was talking to somebody today about our first scrimmage in 2016, my first year here, and I left the field depressed. We had one big play all day, and that's because we threw a swing past Adrian Killens, and he ran past everybody. I know we're a long way ahead of that, but I'm certainly not satisfied with where we are right now, and it's back to work in a couple days.
You mentioned quarterbacks looking better than they did in the spring. How is this team overall better than what you saw in the spring?
Position by position, I think the offensive line has really improved. Coach Clark does a great job with those guys, and they're working together and doing a good job. So I'm really pleased with the progress on the O-line. The running backs have been running hard. Receivers continue to get better a little bit every day, which is good. The tight end group is young too, and starting to see some plays made there. The D-tackle group is kind of new, and we rebuilt, and a lot of new guys from last year. But Kmart's doing a good job with them, and they're starting to show up and make plays and be disruptive. Defensive end should be a strength for us, and those guys are working hard and looking like the guys that we expect them to be. Had some linebackers step up too. Other than the guys you probably know about, there's some guys down the line a little bit that have really put themselves in the mix to get some playing time. Troy Ford and others that have had a really good camp. In the secondary, it takes a while, and once we identify the guys that are going to be playing, I think there'll be some more cohesion. But there's been improvement across the board.
Last two, right?
Coach Hooper talked about yesterday about evaluating this team when it comes to situations where things might have to go a little off script a little bit. What did you see tonight in terms of having people deal with real life football situations now and that kind of thing?
I saw the beginning of what could be good with our team. Two things I don't know about this team yet is how we're going to respond to success and how we're going to respond to adversity. I think we had to break some habits that certain kids had when things go bad and how they react to it. And we're learning that. And I saw some improvement with that tonight. But those are the two big question marks that I have with this team. And you're never going to go through a season or a game, to be honest with you, without some good things happen and something blowing up. And it's how you respond to that is really the mark of a good team.
I know you haven't seen a lot of special teams, but considering it's an entirely new group there, what's the feedback you've gotten and the observation you have had on the operation, how it's working as far as the snapping, kicking, punting?
Yeah, I'm glad Pete Alamar's here. He loves special teams, has been really good at it for a long time. He rebuilt the specialist unit for us. Loved being around those guys. Like I said, I think one of the bright spots today was how we kicked the ball, punters and kickers, and that's important. We're getting pretty good buy-in. Could be a little better as far as coverage units and teams on special teams, but we got the right guy manning that with Pete Elmore.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
everybody.